It too. Okay. Are we live?
We are.
We are. Hi everyone. Are we live now? There we go.
We're
I think
on.
yep. We're on. Okay. So hi everyone. It's Rochie again. It's Wednesday and welcome to Getting Candid with Rochie. And today we have a very special guest, my very first or maybe one of my first GFF, which is a gluten-free friend if you don't know that. She is an author, a speaker, a great friend, a homeschooling mom, which I cannot do. And then she's also one of she's the host of I think one of the longest running or probably the longest running gluten-free live show, cooking show, which is called ABC Gluten Free. Guys, please welcome Miss Dana Martin. Hi, Dana.
Hi, Roshi. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you
What
for
fun that I
having
get to
us.
see you even though I don't see you.
I know, right? We only what? See each other once a year.
Yeah, and now we won't at all.
I know, right? It's just yes. For those of you who are wondering how Dana and I met, we actually met at the Gluten Free and Allergen Free Expo, the
Yeah,
GFAF Expo in Secaucus. I think it was the very first one.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was the very
Yeah,
first one, which is what, 9 years ago, ten
yeah,
years ago.
absolutely. You're
Yes,
right.
we have like a bloggers event where we were able to meet. Like after the show, we have this event for bloggers, and there I met Dana. One thing that caught my attention with Dana, because at that time they were serving food for the bloggers, and I saw Dana brought her own food. And at that time, because at that time my kids were so still young, and we were about to transition to allergy living, allergy friendly living, and she was just there. And I asked her, what do you got in there? Because she was like bringing her container out of her bag, and she's like, I'm not sure how they prepare their food, so I'm bringing my own food. And I was like, really? And then I'm like, and it's so normal to her. And then that day, we because I can eat anything under the sun. I don't have food
Yes,
restrictions. So I was enjoying my food. She's enjoying her
I
food.
watched you.
And then after that, but that gave me a very good lesson. I At that time I said, I don't know how to go in places with my food allergy kit. So when I saw her that it's just so normal eating together, having fun, and having her with her own food and I'm with my other food, like there's no big difference. And then from there I learned that what, my kids can probably have a normal life
Yes,
bringing their own food and nobody will really make a big deal out of it because it's the conversation which is more important at that time, right?
right. You're right. Yeah,
Mm.
we had a nice.
So I know we really had a nice time there, right? And I
Yes.
remember bringing tons of bags
Oh
with
yeah,
goodies,
tons of stuff.
right? So, Dana, please tell us your story. How did you have any health concerns or food restriction, that made
Right.
you become gluten free
Yes.
and having this other allergy?
Okay, so without like giving you the full story, I'll just give it brief.
Okay.
Being born with a heart defect, tetralogy of flow, I was always having dietary restrictions. Allergies is kind of like a loose word that we use, right? It's a little bit
Mhm.
vague because it could be a restriction, it could be an intolerance, it could just be something that doesn't agree with you, or it could be doctor's orders. In my
Yeah.
case, it was doctor's orders. So growing up with food allergies or restrictions, it's always been in my life. It's always been part of my life. But being in the food industry and the restaurant business was always, you know, I enjoyed watching people eat like I watched you eat everything. So I had to find joy in other stuff other than sometimes what I was eating because it wasn't what everybody else was eating. And sometimes that could be a little bit disappointing, until you find that you feel good about it and it feels good in your body and you don't get so disappointed about it. But so growing up that way, I was really kind of used to having dietary restrictions. But then you're okay when you're by yourself, and you're okay when you live alone. But then when you find somebody, or you get married, or you're with someone, and then you have kids, there's a whole nother level that's kind of stacked into it, and that kind of becomes challenging at that point. So having allergies really became very challenging when I had kids, because it just became more and more and more. After each child, I had to have another open heart surgery. So with that came more dietary restrictions.
See, see, that's for me because that's a very interesting point of view. Because for me, I don't have any allergies at
Right.
all, and then it's my kids who have the allergies. I have this mom guilt every time I try to eat something, and I know that they can't have it.
Right.
So, on your part, did you experience mom guilt when you know your kids could have eaten this, but
I think I felt really guilty when my daughter was like 2, 2.5, and she just kind of, like, I'm watching her eat stuff, and I was kind of like, I was okay with it, but I was getting really sick because now I'm preparing it, and now I'm serving it, and cross contact and all
yeah.
that. We were learning. We were learning as we went. And then a couple times she saw me get sick. She's like, "Mommy, I don't want that." And it was like kind of her choice almost at that age, which kind of blew my mind. My son was only 8 or 9, and they both decided that they didn't want to eat anything that was going to hurt mommy. So it kind of
Oh,
like really took a lot of limits, but I also felt very guilty. Like, you guys can have broccoli. It's okay. I don't mind. I want you to eat the broccoli, and I want you to eat these other things. So it was a little bit of mom guilt in the reverse. Like,
mhm,
you were guilty getting to eat whatever you wanted, and I felt guilty a little bit of them being restricted with because of me.
mhm. But would you mind telling what your allergies are? What are the things you avoid? There you go.
Sometimes you don't want to tell people because then they think that they should be doing that, and it's almost like, okay, so I have a heart defect, and I have Hashimoto's, and I have skin allergies and arthritis. So combination of those things really does restrict your diet in a lot of ways when it's doctor prescribed. So if I start from the top, I didn't have chocolate or caffeine for 15 years.
Wow. And I'm a caffeine addict,
Yeah,
right?
no coffee, no nothing. And I grew up drinking espresso as a baby. My dad would give me
Oh,
espresso.
you're Italian, right?
Yeah, so it
There.
was like a little shot of espresso in the morning, no problem. It was normal. So no caffeine, no chocolate, no coffee, no iced tea. You don't think of those things. No Nesquik, no Yoo-hoo, none of that.
And-
You don't think of that. And then as I got older and I had my heart fixed a few more times, it was no cruciferous vegetables, no bovine products, um, no turkey, only very limited chicken, uh, no MSG, no
yeah,
any type of no natural flavors at all, no gluten, no dairy, no soy, no eggs.
no egg.
Uh, so it just it's kind of like it's a hodgepodge, but you do your best. You do what you can. And as you know from our show,
Yeah.
we don't eat bad food.
I know, right?
Right. We don't eat as good as you and your little bento boxes, which are beautiful, but we eat pretty good.
Oh, try. We all do eat good. I have to say, because the kids are still,
Yeah.
well, it's been what? For me, it's been 10 years
10 years
since
for
we
your
were,
children, right?
yes. And I was, at that time, they were like in kindergarten. Now they're like going to high school.
Well, it's nice that you found out sooner than later, because like with my brother, we didn't find out till he was almost in his 30s, and it was too late. So for you to find out now in kindergarten, now you can, control the amount of damage that's done as far
Yeah.
as you can go until they turn 19 or whatever, and they go do what they want.
Right.
you know.
But I liked it because when they were growing up at first, I have this feeling like, oh my goodness, they're gonna miss this. Like any, I would say, new food allergy moms. Like we feel bad that the kids can't have it, but I realize it's mostly me
Right.
who's like
They don't know.
complaining.
Yeah.
For them, because with the kids, because sometimes my husband, he would like forget that which one, which allergies,
Who's
and
got what? What's going
yeah,
where?
who's gone. So he would bring like
Don't
something.
touch
I got
this.
So he's like, I got something for you, because sometimes we could bring food for the other kids, like, treat foods, except for nuts and peanuts, which is hard for cross contamination, that one.
So
But
hard.
the rest is like sometimes two can have gluten sometimes. So
Right.
they would get, a nice bread or a piece of cake
Right.
that the two of them can enjoy. But then, or sometimes my husband would bring a gluten free cake with eggs on it. The other one can have baked eggs, but the other one can't. So it's like, I got a treat for you guys. And he's like, she can only have it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those crazy things. And
It
for me,
is.
it's like, I felt so bad. It's like, why did you buy that? You should have called me first. But you know what? But the kids were like, it's fine. Let her be, they would like,
Enjoy.
let her enjoy it, then I'll have my other treat next time. And
Yeah.
for them, it's not a big deal. But for me, I was like, I think I'm the one making a big deal out of it.
Hmm. Now, do you think it's amazing that your kids have multiple allergies, but you have none and your husband has none?
Actually, my husband has.
Oh, he
Actually,
does.
it's in his family, I think. Yes, no,
That's
no, it's
crazy.
actually because it's my father-in-law has multiple food allergies,
Oh, okay.
which he found out after he retired.
Wow. So
And
that's what he went with.
that was like, because when I met him, he's like, has his bag of concoction of medicine or whatever that he has to.
Wow.
And for one weird reason, because he's what, probably in his 70s now, nobody really paid attention
Wow.
much on on allergies. And there was one time we knew, like, the minute he wakes up, he has to put his inhaler, his asthma medication, and that one. And then after he retired, you know, no more insurance from the company, so he
Right.
has to go with Medicaid. And then and for that he has to go to a different doctor. So, but after his retirement, he went to the Philippines on a vacation for like 2 months or 3 months.
Okay.
And he was surprised that when he was in the Philippines, he doesn't use his inhaler that much.
That's
And he
amazing.
doesn't take his med. And he's like, I'm surprised. Like, I eat normally in this one. And then the minute he got back, he started doing his routine again.
Right.
And then so he went to his doctor and he's like, I need a refill on medication. And he's like, why are you getting refills now? For the past 2, 3
Right.
months, you're not asking anything. And he's like,
Wow.
because I was on vacation. And then
I
and
wasn't
then
here.
no, but he was like, but I'm not having any issues during the vacation in the Philippines. And then the the doctor said, so what are you doing new? Because he doesn't have his old records, he only had his new records, right?
Right.
And he's like, what were you eating? So, but in the Philippines, it's normal to eat rice and meat for breakfast,
Right.
like maybe sausages or whatever,
Hmm. Yeah.
and rice. So he was eating that for like 2 months.
Wow.
And then he found out he was allergic to wheat and cheese. And he was having bagels and cream cheese every single day
Oh
when
my
he's here.
goodness.
And
Wow.
he never thought of that. That's why I said it's first thing in the morning, because that's his breakfast.
Right.
Because it's hard to cook rice and meat in the morning. So he
Yeah.
always just go to his normal. And then the doctor told him, do you have any allergies to anything? He's like, I think I just got allergies from crabs, because in the shellfish, because I know I get itchy on that. then
Wow.
he
Okay.
then he did his blood work. It's like, no, we want to make sure the blood work and all these things. And that's with the bagel and cream cheese came out.
Right.
And he's like, no
Crazy.
wonder I'm like dying first thing in the morning.
And the asthma just that just
it's it's
yeah.
actually anaphylaxis, it's not asthma. He's like, mild anaphylaxis
Oh
that.
my goodness.
And he was like, I didn't know
That's
that.
crazy.
After retirement. And then he's like, I never felt, better after removing
Wow.
all these things, which was his normal routine, right? It's just so weird.
So many years, right, of that.
Struggling,
Yeah.
not struggling in pain, right?
Oh my goodness. It's crazy.
It
Yeah.
is crazy, right? And that's what they're saying. Sometimes you don't know you're allergic.
Yeah.
And those are the things that, making you sick for one weird reason,
Well, it's
right?
just to make excuses like, oh, I must have ate something, or my stomach, or maybe that wasn't cooked all the way. You just start to make excuses, not really realizing that there could be something wrong,
Mhm. And also, I know some people who actually don't take allergies seriously. They would say, I'm allergic to shellfish, but shrimp and crabs are really, you're in Jersey Shore, you'll see that it's
Yeah.
really. They would take like allergy meds before eating
Oh my goodness.
just to eat, and I'm like, are you crazy?
Yeah. I just never think it's worth it because you don't really know what's doing inside to you, you know?
Hmm. Actually, that's maybe because you really suffered and you know how it is. Because with my kids, like sometimes they would hear people like, you want to try it or this one, right away they would tell you, I know how it felt,
Mm,
being bad. I don't want to feel that.
right.
It's
True.
it's not worth the pain. That's what they always say.
It's true. It's not worth it. And I
Yeah.
just can't imagine it being worth it when you do that to your body. It just, how many times can you continue to do that without it causing severe damage
Hmm.
that
Right.
may not be reversible?
I know. Actually, that's when we found out with child number 3,
Okay.
he was having blood in his stool.
Oh, gosh.
We don't see hives, and
Yeah.
and and then I said, I really didn't think it was allergies because he doesn't have any hives at all.
Right.
But I know that if he eats something, he'll be like in the bathroom like crazy, and his asthma would kick in. And then when we didn't go to an allergist first. We actually went to what do you call that, gastro,
Okay.
for him because of the blood, right?
Yes.
And then the gastro said, he's so tiny, I don't want to put cameras inside his body at that
Yeah.
time because he was like too young. Can I see the allergy records first? And I said, I don't have it. So
Mm-hmm.
he was the one who ordered the allergies, and he's like, remove it and let's see. And then from there we realized that that's why he had the blood in his stool, because his
Right.
internal organs are swollen.
Yeah, that's
And
so
you
sad.
don't see it, right? And it's
It's
like
true.
scary.
The symptoms vary. They're not always just a skin rash or stomach pains or a headache, or they could be all of the above, but at different times.
Mhm. And that's when with child number 2 as well, because when she said, you know what, because she was properly diagnosed, she's already 5, so she's been eating. And then she told me, when she was young, she thought that when her tummy starts aching, that means she's full, she needs to
Oh,
stop eating.
okay.
And that's her concept
Yeah.
because she was young.
Right.
And she's like, I didn't know that you could finish a full meal, and really like feel stuffed and your tummy's not hurting because it's her allergies.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when my daughter was like three-ish, because she stopped eating gluten a long time ago. We'd go to the grocery store and I'd put her in the cart, and I would go right over to the bakery and get her like a muffin. I'd give her the muffin, and 20 minutes later, she would just be outrageous. And I would have to almost like leave the cart and just leave everything and go because she started to get crazy, not knowing that, obviously she had a gluten issue that we really didn't know. So we have Roz. Oh, there you are. I don't know if anybody else out there has like children with food allergies, but sometimes they may feel like you were saying, they may feel like they're the only ones, but there's so many kids with allergies, and sometimes they don't want to talk about it. So it's nice for you to talk about your children and how you're taking care of them, and even though they may not be going to school this year, they'll still have friends over and be doing things outside that they may have to bring their own food. So you make them feel comfortable about it, and you always make everything look so good so they don't feel bad about it. If you guys have
Actually,
never
now
seen her little bento boxes, you're gonna have to scroll back her Instagram, right?
Yes, so
I'll
all
scroll
the
back to
way.
Instagram to see them. They're well now. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna be packing your lunch bags. You're gonna still have to do it for
I
the kids.
know. Actually, I was
Like
like
maybe 2 3
thinking,
days a week. You're gonna pack.
oh no, they're bigger now. They can make their own food. They put everything in
Oh,
the
but they
air
like
fryer.
yours. Mhm.
Yeah, I was like thinking, I was like, oh no, where's my daily lunches? And
Mhm.
actually, it was funny you're talking about that one because before because it's not like picture perfect because I'm telling you it's like those 2 3 minutes before the bus arrives,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that's when I take the pictures, just to. And then it's funny because
Mhm.
my daughter too, which is she's already in high school, right? A few times she said, oh, I think your mom packed an extra one, I want to try. I want to try that one. And they're like, how did you know what's in my lunch? I saw her in Instagram on my way to school.
They know before sometimes the other one knows, right?
Yeah, they're like, I know you got, like some, because I
Yeah,
always overpack. For me, it's
that's
okay
good.
to overpack food
Yeah.
because they're growing. I mean, they could
Yeah, and you
eat.
never know when they're gonna need it and expel all that energy. They're gonna need extra.
Yeah, I said, I want you to have, you can bring it home anyway. You can
Right.
bring it back. But if you're hungry in there, you can't get anything in the cafeteria,
No,
right?
no.
So
How did the
it's when,
schools handle that now? Well, before, how did the schools handle children with allergies? I heard it wasn't so great.
yeah.
I
Well,
guess every school's different, but
actually, I would say I'm very blessed with our school district
that's good.
because when we started school, there are already no more birthday parties allowed.
Oh, okay.
Like you can't bring any food in the classrooms already. We only have foods uh, in class when it's I think it's the Christmas party. They
Okay.
have like the Halloween party. Like I think three or
Yeah.
four events that they're
Okay.
allowed. And then the class moms, they're very strict about the the packaging and any. You
Right.
can't bring anything that is not packaged.
So everything has to be closed in, so everybody can
Yes.
read it and see it and touch it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Like the only thing that they allowed open is actually the fruits like strawberries, and if they
okay.
had there's a fruit platter or a veggie platter. But
Okay.
apart from that, they're very good with that.
That's good.
uh so I have no issues already from those parents who actually bring cupcakes because it's my
Yeah.
my child's birthday, so we don't have
Yeah.
that. And then in the cafeteria, when they were younger in the classroom, there's like a peanut free table.
Okay. Yeah, we used to have that.
But yeah, but now in their middle school, which I think I liked what they did, because they have like the long tables, the corners, the end corners of the
Yeah.
tables, they're actually seating arrangements for those with allergies.
Oh, that's nice.
So they don't have to go. So, but it's like it's not disclosed. Like only the parents know and the kids know where they should be.
Okay.
So they know it's not, your spot there is not, is not
It's
is
not like woo woo woo.
and then the kids like, oh, that's her spot. Nobody goes in there. So they just think that it's teacher assigned or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's actually to see them that they're in the corners. Those are the kids with allergies.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So when they eat, like even the lunch ladies could see, what's going on that side. I think I like it because it's a little discreet,
Yeah.
especially for middle school,
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
But they could still be on the same table. And then of course most of the friends who sit with them, they're like, oh, I know she's allergic. But
Right.
they
That's
didn't know
good.
that she was there for that reason.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
yeah, that's a good thing. But that's what one concern that we have right now for those who are going back to school
Yeah.
is that they said actually our school district is still a little, you know, no nothing specific yet, but
Okay.
they were had the regulations that the kids will stay on their seat and that's where they're gonna eat, which I didn't like
What
because
about the days they're not there though?
they will it will be cleaned all the time like in the afternoon. But I was like, I'm not into it because some kids who bring their own food
Yeah.
or whatever. If you know, if they get it from the cafeteria or something,
Right.
they will be in the same classroom. So our school district don't have a protocol right now, and that they think they might shorten the days so that they don't have to eat in school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, because some kids will be like, I mean, the only rule that we have right now is that no nuts and peanuts in all classrooms.
Okay.
But there are some people who are allergic to dairy,
Yeah.
to gluten,
Yeah.
so they have to accommodate all those as well. So they're trying to accommodate those because they can't go into cafeterias anymore.
Wow.
But
It's
it's just,
crazy.
and
Wow.
it is because at first they thought they might be able to, but they're like, you can't. Because our district they just sent a video on like what are the temporary plans, and I like it because they're considering everybody.
That's good.
Like
Yeah.
especially with those like with allergies who goes to school, because they're like, you can't be there in the cafeteria because you can't see anymore. I mean, there's social distancing, but and they were like, we can't prevent middle schools and high schools from, you know, staying away from each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the lockers, they like no more lockers.
Oh, wow. They're going to have to carry everything.
And you still on that. It's one of those that they're like, make do, but everything I like what they're doing now in Jersey
I
because
lost you for a second there.
there you go. I see what they're doing now in Jersey, that they're more considerate, because in some states I see that they're all
Mm.
crazy. I mean, it's nice to be normal, but that's not the normal.
Yeah. It's
And,
not. It's
and a
not.
lot were actually getting sick right now
Oh,
for
that's
those. It is terrible.
that's awful.
So let me ask you, Dana, because I know everybody will be like, thinking, oh, how about the recipes? How we do that one? So, Dana, I know you've been a recipe creator because you've been in the restaurant industry for a long time,
Yes.
right?
Yes. My whole
So,
life.
will you give us some tips on how to recreate some of the favorite dishes that we want to make allergy friendly or gluten free? Because I know you always make like those corn dogs. I'm like, ooh, it's gluten free.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's inspired by my kids because they want some of the things that they remember either us having at our business because we have restaurants on the boardwalk and we had seafood and pasta and wraps and, you know, boardwalk food,
Yeah.
lots of boardwalk food. So they always want those things and they're always like, Mom, I remember when we had this and I remember when we had this. It's not hard to recreate it. Sometimes it just takes a few misses to get it right. But that's really what the show is for. That's why we broadcast and because being a recipe developer and product developer in the past for a bunch of different, a lot of the
Yeah.
companies that which we won't mention, being in the background of that for so long, I was able to. That's why they hired me was to recreate things like that. So and then like just like you coming out and now doing your own show, and that's kind of how we started. Was we were behind the scenes and then we kind of stepped
Yeah.
into the scene and now we're in the front of the scene. But just recreating recipes is just a little trial and error. I always tell people just do a little tiny bit, right? Like if you
Mhm.
want to bake a bread or you want to make a cookie, just make a tiny bit so that you can dictate it and test it and taste it. If it tastes great and you like it, then you have all of that information already down. Then you can make a bigger batch or a wider variety or add and subtract kind of little ingredients. But that's really the main tip I would say is just make a little bit. Don't, because then you're wasting all this expensive ingredients, especially in the
Exactly.
allergen. I mean,
Hmm.
we have a gluten free co op that we order from in bulk, but not everybody has that. But it's still expensive.
Yeah.
It's still pricey to make a lot of mistakes. So to make smaller portions and test it is really the best thing.
How about with the gluten-free flour? Because it, do you suggest mixes or the ready-made
Yeah,
mixes
right.
or flour blends or have those individual flours? What do you think is
I
better?
think as a beginner or a newbie, I would say definitely already made, already blended flours. And because you don't know what you're going to like, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And you don't really know what you want. Are you going to be baking bread? Are you going to be making cookies? Are you going to be. So you don't really know. So a packaged product is great to start with. Then, as you become more familiar with what you want and increase your knowledge and kind of get baking, get into the oven and
Yeah.
get started, then you kind of can make your own blends for different situations.
Hmm.
So, like, if you ever went in my pantry, I have a bread blend, I have a gluten free blend, I have a grain free blend. So I have all different blends that for different things.
But you started with the mixes. I know. I like the
Yeah,
mixes too.
well, I started when I was working for a particular company. That's the first thing that I started with was a gluten free flour blend that they asked me to just start to develop, and I started mixing flours together, different grains, and
Hmm.
coming up with something that was a nice consistency that you could do a little bit more with. So you could do a pancake or a cake or a bread.
Hmm.
So then I've kind of, come accustomed to having that ingredient those blended together so they more versatile.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Yeah, because for me, when I started with a blend, but that was like what 10 years ago.
yeah,
I
the blends
actually
were not good back then.
actually I cried in the
Yeah,
kitchen.
they were
I
no, they
had
were
a big meltdown because I bought that big, because I said, oh, it's
right.
cheaper to buy the I think it's five,
five
what do you call it,
pounds or
5 pounds than the 1 pound. So I bought
yeah,
the
oh
big
yeah,
one, right? And then and because it's not just gluten free, I have to remove the eggs on it as
right.
well.
I understand.
And I think it's the so I was making pancakes and I
Mhm.
was like, what is going on? And
Yeah,
I was crying and I was like on Facebook saying, I'm crying with my pancakes here
right.
because I used to do catering, when before I had kids. So I'm like, I know I can bake. I know I can sell stuff, like I know I
Yeah,
sell stuff and I can't even make a pancake. And it was really
yeah.
frustrating.
And you probably made a big batch because you were hoping that for the
Looking at
best.
the recipe, right?
Right, and then you have discovered that you have all this stuff that you have to figure out what to do with now.
I know. And that was like for a pancake, I was I bought I would say I bought the flaxseed, I bought
Right.
the gluten-free flour, I
Yeah.
bought the
All the stuff.
dairy-free butter, like all these
Yeah.
expensive stuff. I think
Yes.
I think for pancake I just what I bought like probably $50 worth of ingredients
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
a pancake, which I should have bought the $7 package.
Right. And then you have on top of it, you have the layers of the no eggs, and then all of that plays into effect where it's going to change completely your pancake, and it could be in a really bad way.
Oh, that one was like
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the mochi is like
Yes.
a rising.
Yeah.
I was like, that is not a pancake, because it's like really stretchy and everything. And
Right.
then my kids, which the hardest part at that time, because they were 1, 3, 5, and 7 when they
Okay.
were first diagnosed.
And they want their pancakes.
They know what a pancake tastes like. The 7 years old, the 5, and even the 3 years old,
Yes.
they know what
Right.
pancakes are.
Mhm.
I mean, it's okay when they were like, they grew, they
Yeah.
never had it. So they
Right.
know a
Exactly.
pancake is like, okay, it's like this. But they're like, we know what's a buttermilk pancake, we know
Right.
the fluffy one. Or and that was really tough because I
Yeah.
was like crying in the kitchen and I'm like,
I know.
I'm
I
crying over pancakes.
Yeah.
But I like it now because we have a lot of options,
A lot of options.
a lot of options right
Yes.
now.
And
Now,
a lot of have come and gone, and then a lot have stayed. And
mhm.
there's a lot of good products out there for especially people just getting started. Like years ago, we were driving to Pennsylvania for sunflower flour just to make something.
Mhm.
Now, you can get pretty much anything you want on any website you look at.
I know, right?
Yeah, makes it a lot
And
easier.
and I like it now because they go on sale as well.
Yes,
Because
because we must be frugal.
yeah, because it's really expensive. I mean, just to feed what? Like for us, they're growing kids.
So we
I
have
have.
5, and we have everybody is our whole house is gluten free,
Mhm.
and then we have gluten, dairy, and soy for my daughter, and then myself with all of the multiples. So it's sometimes it is, it's a challenge. It's fun, but it definitely is. It's not a cheap living,
It is not.
and
I
especially if you
remember.
try to eat healthy and you eat
Hmm.
fresh fruits and vegetables, it's still expensive.
It is. It's very much. And actually, there was one situation when I had the kids, and I'm like, because when I started, I was like, I am like the coupon lady,
Yes, I know.
and I was like getting coupons, and I'm like, there's no coupons for the gluten free. They don't go on sale. It's
That
just
was like the first thing you said at the expo. Is there any coupons? Who's got coupons? Where are the person with the coupons?
yeah, I am the coupon lady
And you're
because
like,
it's
can I
like
have a couple more of those? I have a bunch of kids at home.
actually now I would say, can you send me a booklet? Why?
Yeah.
Because I do have I still have the box.
Oh,
Sometimes
good.
I don't know because I know they're because it adds up like $1 off, two
Yeah, it's
dollars
nice that
off.
you do that. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
it's
because
nice.
I mean for me because I would say I'm blessed now because of the situation that I'm able to contact companies
Right.
or even PR companies that is willing to like, oh, can you send me more coupons for this group of people
Yeah.
because I have this people.
Yeah.
But if not, you would only have one coupon and that's it,
Yeah.
and you don't know if you're gonna like it, right?
Yeah. That's definitely challenging because you
Hmm.
spend all that money and then it's like, you don't want to feed it to the birds. you know,
I think even the birds don't want to eat it.
Sometimes you're right. I tell the kids, we have gluten free birds, gluten free squirrels, gluten free bunnies, because of all the mistakes that I was making in the beginning. Because we didn't have all that we have
Mhm.
now. I'd be just throwing it out to the birds. The swans, they're all gluten free out there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Actually, they call me now oh, it's funny because the kids are calling me the bougie mom. I said, why is the bougie mom? Because everything you make is bougie. Like, why? Because if they're friends with, it's funny because in school they already know they're the allergy kids.
Yeah.
So the basic rule is that you can't share food.
Right.
But then again, if somebody's hungry, it's like you can ask her because her food is allergy friendly.
Right. It's safe.
It's safe. If you got one allergies, it's fine because she got like 9 or 10, and then everything in there. But you have something to eat. Just go in her
Yeah.
lunchbox.
That's true. It's nice.
Nice. It is
Anybody
nice.
go to Roshi's daughter's lunchbox, you'll get a good lunch.
Actually, that's one thing because it's funny because when my kids were younger, the only rule I asked from their school is that they can't eat anything
Yeah.
that's not from their lunchbox.
Right. Right.
So there was a couple, sometimes there are kids who don't have any,
Hmm.
I would say, no lunch or no snack, and everybody's
Right.
eating. And of course, when you open my son's lunchbox, he got like
Everything
a,
pops out like the Jack in the Box.
I know it's like a
Boing.
full grocery, right?
Yes.
So the teacher would ask, "Oh, would you mind if you want to share?" And my son was like, "Okay, you can have this one. This one, which one you want? You want something?" And it's funny because he's like, "You want something crunchy or something chewy?"
Oh, how cute.
And the teacher's like, "You can just give him anything for his snack." And it's like, "No, I got options, so I might as well give him something that he likes, right?"
Yeah. Do you think
Yeah.
your children have like ask you for a particular thing all of the time, or are they just happy with whatever or do they say, "Mom, make this. We love when you do that."
Well, they do have some requests, like now. Before when they were younger, we're like the what we call. See, now I forgot that show. Like, see, I forgot that show. It is, the one show on Food Network where there is a basket.
Yeah,
a
like
mystery ingredient.
chopped or whatever.
Yeah, the chopped one, and then you
Okay.
have to make something out of it. So when they were younger, that's what we do. I told them we're on chop, and these are only the ingredients that we have, because that's the only thing I could explain to them. Because
Right.
I don't want to tell them that you can't have it. So
Right.
I said, this is all we have, and this is what
Yes.
we're gonna make something out of
This
it.
is what we're gonna
Then
work with.
you are the judges. You tell me if it's good or not.
That's good.
So yeah, so that was our game before. But then, as they grow older, they're like, "Oh, can you make us this one?"
Right.
Or it's funny because it took us, and I never, and sometimes I don't really pay attention. Like, there was one time I was so curious, I was scrolling the internet, and I'm like, I think I like that waffle maker. I just want
Yeah.
to buy it out of the blue.
Uh huh.
So I bought one, and then I said, I want to try it. So I was excited making a waffle,
Uh huh.
and then child number two said, and she's already like 13 or 14 at that time, probably 13. She told me, Mom, thank you so much. Why? This is my first waffle ever. And I'm like, I never paid attention because,
Right.
they never asked for it. So I
Yeah.
never paid attention of making my own waffles.
Right.
But she's like, this is the, and I like it. And then there was, and from there, they're like, Mom, can you make waffle now?
Yeah.
Or
Oh
can you
yeah.
make hash browns now?
Oh yeah. Love
Because
that.
those are the things that you see that you could easily buy in stores, and
Yeah.
then they don't have it. It's like we're not paying attention probably.
Right. Right.
It's so cute.
That is
So
cute.
so how is probably what are probably the tips that you can give, I would say, mom who have younger kids that has who has allergies? What are the tips? Probably 5 tips you can tell them, like right now.
So first off, normally I tell parents because usually I'll have clients actually that have food allergies. They'll come to me for help. I tell them to sit down and ask your kid, like, what do they like? If you went someplace, where would they want to go? What would they order? And then we kind of curtail their menu that way. I tell parents to make little cards and put them on the refrigerator. So you have 5 fruits, 5 veggies, 5 proteins, and 5 snacks, and they can arrange them for each day what they would like to have. So they kind of have a little bit of control, even though they have allergies and certain things they can and can't have. But it gives them kind of the option to pick. I did it with my kids, and we do it with any families that we go visit for and help them cook or clean out their cabinets or whatever if they have newly diagnosed with food allergies. And really, the only tip other than that would be read every single label and contact the company if you're not sure. And if you're not sure, don't eat it because it's really just not worth it to eat something and then your child gets sick. To watch your child be sick, it's. I mean, you probably know it's probably very difficult. I've only had to watch my kids be ill very seldom. They're usually watching me. So, but to watch your child get sick from something that you had control over is hard. So really, just read
Yeah.
the labels. If you're in question about it, call the company or just get rid of it. And then give your children options. Sit with them and ask them. Because maybe they used to like to go to McDonald's and get chicken nuggets, and now they can't do that.
Mhm.
So give them choices that and let them help eat and create it. And that's how my kids really loved food. Is they've been cooking with me forever. So it's like you have to include them in the process so that they feel that they have some type of control over it. Because once you take things away, they start to feel like
Yeah.
they're losing control.
Yeah.
Some kids will even strike and they won't eat because they're just like, forget it. Everything hurts, everything bothers me, I'm not going to eat anything until you really communicate with them properly. So I guess those are my tips: is the communicating and the reading. Find out what they like.
That's a good thing because I know, like for us, even those for, just like me, when you tell me, oh, you're gonna go on a diet or this one just for weight loss. If
Mm-hmm.
they tell you not to eat it, you probably, I think it's normal reaction that you're gonna go binge eating or when nobody's looking. And I think that's what I don't like about with the kids, especially if they're a little older. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I can buy this, I will eat it and try it out. Actually, actually make it. I don't like that. So usually I would say, you know, try to think for yourself. Or there was one somebody who actually questioned me, and like she was not question, like she just asked what should I do because her daughter was crying over ice cream. Because she didn't have the dairy, and there wasn't an ice cream truck in there, and she was crying. Because the way she said it, it's like no. And I told her you should have asked that if there's an ice pop in there, like give, or like an Italian ice that it's dairy free. You don't have to buy the exact same exact ice cream, but at least you tell her she got options. You
Yeah.
want the Italian ice or the ice pop that's, I know it's loaded with sugar and food coloring.
No, but that's we're talking
But
about.
but it's like at least, it's safe for
There's an
her. I
option.
mean,
Yeah.
at least she has control instead of just saying no, you can't have it. And because it gives her that I think the feeling of being rebellious, like, oh, maybe
Absolutely. Yeah.
now we got teenagers, so they'll be like, if
Yeah.
you say no, they'll
Definitely.
be like, let me try it then.
Right.
So I think with the choices, if you tell them, you have these choices, at least they have some control on what they wanted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes helping cook it makes them have a pride in it, and they want to try something, even maybe something different, because they made it. And
Hmm.
you make
Yeah.
a big deal of it, like, wow, look what you made, this is amazing. You really have to just share some love in the process of disciplining and having a little bit of control. Being a parent, you just can't let them do whatever they want, but you have to give them some type of, like you said, some type of control over the situation.
Yeah, because I think most people think when it comes to food allergies, it's only about food. I think it's mostly, for me, from my experience, it's mostly mental, or how you perceive it.
Right.
Maybe 70% on how you perceive it, and only 30% when it comes to food.
Absolutely.
Because when it comes, if you feel that you're very restrictive, it's I would say it's the mental or the psychological issue
Definitely.
that deals with it. Because with my kids, when I told them, you can have this, or we're, instead of just saying no, we could
Right.
probably, okay, let's try to make it
Right.
like the
That.
chop style, or
Yeah.
at least it becomes more exciting, or I think they're more hopeful,
Yeah. Definitely.
instead of just saying no, you can't.
Right.
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 Okay. Before we end, I just have one quick question. What, I know, because the word allergy has always been, I would say, misused now.
Yeah. Definitely.
What's your take on those people who just say, I got allergies, in restaurants, you've been in restaurants, and then they just want to know the recipe, because sometimes they would say, what are the ingredients, and I got allergies, or, those who don't really have the, I would say, the medical restrictions or even the intolerance. They just use the word.
They're just using the word kind of to
Yes, to
get
get
correct
like,
or something.
what,
I mean,
you
I've
know.
dealt with a lot of people like that in the past. I I do feel like it's a shame because if they truly knew how we felt, I don't think they would throw the word around as in such. I mean, even we've had a friend that died from peanut allergy. So it's like you can throw that around, but it's a shame because if you actually had this, you would have a little bit more compassion. I think that's really where it comes into just having compassion for people that do and not using the term so lightly as if, maybe I know people all the time that they just don't want to eat it or they're just on this type of a diet, so they're staying
Mhm.
away from it. Then they'll say, I have an allergy. And then, the week after you see them and they're eating it or whatever it is that they said they couldn't eat. And it is frustrating, but it's, you can only take care of yourself and your family. You can't really be responsible for other people, but it does make it hard to go out. So actually, that's why we have the VIP cards that we had sent you a few times, and we can send them out to anybody that wants them now because we want people to take it seriously. Like, this is important to us, and going out to eat, you have to ask a million questions before you actually feel confident even placing your order, because people do that. It
Mhm.
makes it very hard for us to go out and eat. So we don't, unless we have our cards and we're careful. And you have to really communicate with the person who's in front of you.
Mm. That's good. Now, tell us more about ABC Gluten Free and the new things you're doing.
Oh my goodness,
Dana?
we had a series going of sidekicks to superheroes, and that was kind of like our summer thing. And now we're doing dedicated to my dad. But we've been working a lot for a few different companies, kind of like Chopped Basket, where they sent me stuff and said, "See what you could do with it." It's been interesting. It's been very interesting, and we have like a bunch of things going on actually that we're going to include you in, Rochie, for the upcoming Nourish Festival that's going to be
Oh,
online,
yes. Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll get you to come on and chat with us a little bit for that. And I mean, the show's been going, I don't know, it started out as, something that I was doing for a company recording, and then it ended up people started watching it, and then people started following, and, then we started traveling and meeting people like you, and then doing the show in like Las Vegas and places that were crazy. And now we're just, we like to stay home. We do the show from home. My kids are getting older, as everybody can see, them growing up. But we will continue the series dedicated to my dad. My dad was my mentor. He opened a restaurant when he was just out of high school. He opened a deli and a sub shop. And then he moved down here with 4 kids and opened up the Beachcomber in Seaside on the boardwalk. And just was really my inspiration, my motivation. And I'm taking the menu from our restaurant and going through one by one. So we did New England clam chowder. The week before that, we did Manhattan clam chowder. And we're going to just work our way through it. And we have a lot of people just like so excited to see us recreate those childhood things, which is going to be a lot of fun for me. A little bit
Yeah.
emotional, but I'm going to
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah, but I like that because I saw the clam chowder and like, oh, she's
I was
doing
crying over the
clam
bowls. What a baby. But
chowder.
my dad taught me everything. So not being in the food business anymore, but still being in it from the show has really given me like a new type of excitement for creating for people that maybe wouldn't have any of that. They
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't know how to make it, or they just wouldn't even know where to start. So
Yeah.
we like to take everybody through the stages. We like to give them the options of omitting eggs and sugar and dairy, and not just gluten free, but allergen friendly.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that because actually, when I watch your show, I like it because, oh, it's actually live show. It's not like the magic of TV that everything
No,
will pop up like at the end.
no,
No, it's actually you have to watch. I mean, you can actually cook with you because
yes,
you would know the exact cooking time and everything,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. We have nobody that's been brave enough to cook with us yet. Maybe you'll do it with me.
Ooh, I like that. Now
You can
I'm
vibe with
curious.
me. Yeah, maybe we can do like egg rolls or something.
Yes, we'll
I
do
don't know,
it.
maybe your specialty, you can test me and I'll try to do my best.
Oh, we could do that. It's always like home, I don't do like I don't do the fancy things. I have
Me
no
neither.
time
I
to
don't do
make
that either.
fancy things
We
because
had
I
our years in the restaurant doing that and I'm done. Now it's just like, I call it rustic, and that's
mhm,
what it is. It
it
just
is
has to be
rustic.
family style, get it on the table.
Uh, Mine is like real life. I said I cook it
Absolutely.
while it's warm. While it's warm,
Right.
I'm taking like pictures for 2 minutes,
Yes. Don't
and
touch
that
it. Nobody eat it. We got to get a picture.
okay. And when we're done with it, okay, we'll take picture. I said I have no time for like the whole day
Right.
photo shoot. I said I have to make
I
sure
know.
everything is
It's true.
perfect
A lot of the times the kids are hungry. They just want to eat, right? They don't want to
I
wait.
said I find just people who are bloggers, they don't know how to go to things that already take an hour for the lighting, for composing the picture and everything. And I said, I don't have those perfect photos
Yeah.
because I got hungry kids in here.
It takes a lot of time, and it's really not all that you think it is. Like a lot of times it's not even cooked all the way, or it's glazed with things. I mean, we worked with one company who was doing a lot of photography for different um, movies, and it was just like hours and hours of smoothing the stuff and glazing it with paint, and just I was like, oh, this isn't even real food. Who's gonna eat this when
Yeah,
it's done? You can't even eat it. You have to throw it away.
yeah. Actually, that's what I said. For us, it's reality.
Real life, right? Reality
Yeah.
TV at its finest.
Yes, that's what it is. So if you cook it, that's chances are that's what it's gonna look like, right?
Yes, yes. So I look forward to having you cook something with me. That would be fun.
That would be fun too. Yeah, I know you've been asking me that for like how many years, right?
Well, I want to. Well, at first you were going to come down, right? And then all
I
this
know.
happened, and then time flies, and then here we are. Now we're just doing everything electronically,
I
right?
know, right? It's just that I'm like, actually now even my kids, they're scared to go out.
Oh,
I,
really? Oh, that's too
no,
bad.
because no, actually they would go out, but they're like, as much as possible. They said we don't like people.
Oh
because
no.
no, because they said we don't know what kind of craziness
Right.
because
That's true. It's
no,
true.
because what they're thinking now is that um they might be careful, but those other people,
Other
they
people.
just said it's just one sneeze on my face,
That's true.
and one kid said maybe I'm not gonna get sick, but my sibling will get sick when I get home. So they're like, as much as possible, we don't want people. We only and I said, you know what?
Yeah.
At least you have concerns because they're always thinking maybe they're the carriers or something,
Right. Right.
so they don't want to be the carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've been trying to, like, every Monday we've been doing snack of the day with Sophia, and we go to the health food store and I let her pick one thing. And the health food store's been really great with us. Like, they have the hand sanitizer, put your mask on, and they let us pick something, and then we go outside and we film so she could take off her mask. But it's just been, we've been trying to show people, like, a little bit more to support local and get out there a little bit, not to be so fearful, but certain places, you have to be very specific with where you decide to go.
actually, maybe for those who got like concerns, for most people are saying like Asian stores is not the best place to go. Actually, we were surprised because the Asian stores, they have people who actually cleans the cart,
Yes,
and then when you go in, they would be like those guards at the door that they would hand you. You're not even touching the hand
that's good.
sanitizer. They're just gonna pump it
Yeah,
on your hand,
that's
and
good.
then they'll give you gloves.
Wow.
And there was even one Asian store I went to. They even ask for your temperature. They have like somebody scanning.
Yeah, the
And
laser beam.
yeah, and my son is like, I think I want that job.
Oh, that's
I'll
funny.
just be at the door and then,
Yeah.
taking temperature. It looks so cool. And he's like, can I get paid like an hour just to just to pump the the hand sanitizer?
That's another thing just to touch on. People don't realize, like, this is how we live. My this is how my family has lived in the past because of my heart condition. Anybody with strep throat or a flu or whatever, we've always had to stay away from and be careful and take those precautions. I think that people are losing the the barrier and everything. It's like you should be careful all the time. You might not have to wear a mask or gloves but you should be washing your hands and taking care of germs. Like
Mhm.
not bringing things into your house and being more careful.
Yeah, actually, that's what my kids were saying when they saw the new regulations that you have to put hand sanitizer, clean the table, and this one. That's my life.
Right.
That's what they do before they eat. They have to do all these things, and then if they have a friend, they would even ask their friend, "Did you
Wash your
wash
hands.
your hands before touching me?"
Us too. We have the same thing
Because
in our house. People bring stuff. We ask them to keep it outside. Don't bring any gluten in our house and wash your hands. And we don't ever let anybody put their hand in our bag or anything like that because
yeah,
we don't know. We don't know what they've eaten beforehand or touched, right? I think I just lost you for a second.
how many? You're good, Dana.
I'm good. Yeah, you were saying how many
Okay.
what?
Oh, the kids were saying that's been our life for like 10
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
That their friends know they can't touch their bags or their
Yeah.
things unless they wash their hands or they didn't eat at
Right.
all.
You know,
Yeah.
an interesting thing just before you before you head out is before when I had my first surgery, well, one of the few, I went out to a restaurant and someone gave me caffeinated coffee instead of decaf. I was so ill, so ill. I have palpitations. So it's like you don't want to do that to someone. That's just not kind.
Mhm.
And they
Exactly.
probably thought it was no big deal. We don't have any decaf. I'm just gonna fill their cup up with regular. They probably just want decaf because it's late or
Yeah.
they don't. People don't understand. So you really have to communicate. I should have said to them, "Do you have decaf coffee? I have a heart condition. I cannot have caffeine." Then maybe they would have come back to me and said, "We don't have any decaf. So do you want
Yeah.
regular or just forget it?"
Yeah.
Because if you approach the person and tell them, they might be able to just say, "No, you know what? Never mind. It's okay." Or if your
Or
kids
I'll
have
get
something
water
like that,
instead, right?
right? And if your kids go out and they have to be careful, they have to be able to communicate with the person in front of them.
Yeah. I think that's a very important thing to tell, to teach the kids, especially if they have
Yes,
food allergies,
absolutely.
that they'll be able to communicate. Because I know most people, they don't want to talk about allergies.
Right.
But with my kids, like when they were growing up, like even the 1 year old before, he would just like he knows allergies right away, like don't touch. Or like my sister's allergic to, is that nuts? He doesn't even know what a walnut is or pistachio at that time. But
Uh-huh.
he would ask you, is that a nut? Because my
Right. Oh, so
my
cute.
brother and my sister is allergic to tree nuts.
Yeah, yeah. I know my
And
son now, he's 19, and he's like, "Oh, no, my mom can't have that." Like, now he's the one who's like coming out and saying stuff for me.
that's nice, right?
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
nice.
We taught them well, right? We have to teach them well.
Yeah. And I think that's the best thing. Instead of like hiding it
Yeah,
and, don't not talking about it,
right.
I think it's better that they communicate.
Make them comfortable with it.
Okay, Dana, can you invite our viewers on your show? Where
Oh,
is it
yes.
at?
Join us on ABC Gluten Free on live stream or Facebook, whichever one you prefer. And it is live on Fridays at 1 p.m. We call it eat time. So Eastern Standard Time is eat time for us.
Oh,
So
you
you have to
time.
bring your own napkin, and we'll have Rochie on hopefully soon, right?
Yeah,
Just
soon.
have to give me a list of ingredients I'm gonna have to go to the market to get.
We'll do. We'll do that, right?
Yes,
Uh,
thank you so much for including me today in your broadcast, and I wish you the best.
okay, thank you so much, Dana. Thank you for saying yes, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, guys. Thank
Enjoy,
you so much
everybody.
for thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.